to apply for a similar project as last year when we received $5,000 to provide books and accessories for both programs participants. There's no match required. The staff of the library has already been using the funds from last year's grant to provide for the participants during this city's fiscal year and for this summer's summer reading program, which is called Tales and Tales. And it's a great program. The library does a wonderful job. Grant applications are due June 14th. Our reference librarian has already started preparing the application, and I've been working with her on that, so we're asking for your authorization to apply.
Okay, thank you. Council, any questions? Ms. Bowen?
Yes, it's between 5 and 10,000?
That's the average grant award.
Okay, so when we apply, it could be more than 5,000?
It generally hasn't been.
It hasn't been?
So we've stayed within the 5,000.
Either way, it's very good. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes. Mr. Burke? No questions? Mr. Molina? I guess Mr. Pete Chris? Mr. Chris, any questions?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Okay. There's no discussion or any other questions. I'll entertain a motion for agenda item number 13.
Mayor, I make a motion authorizing city staff to submit a grant application to the Coastal Bend Community Foundation for funds to purchase books and accessories to provide participants in family reading together and in the summer reading programs.
Second.
Okay, we have first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 14. Discuss, consider, and act upon authorizing city staff to submit a grant application to the Office of Justice Programs Bureau of Justice Assistance for up to 50% reimbursement for the purchase of 5 bulletproof vests under the fiscal year 2021 Bulletproof Vest Partnership Grant Program. And Ms. Barbara, you will.
Mayor and council, the city's participated in this grant application program since 2001, and we've been awarded $79,173.46. As the mayor read, this grant would provide up to 50% of the purchase price of a bulletproof vest for our officers. We have a 5-year cycle for bulletproof vest, and next in the city's 2022 fiscal year, 5 vests will need to be purchased to replace those that are aging. And we're working with Lieutenant Sines, who's keeping track of all of the vests and when they reach their 5-year lifespan. We're looking at applying, we're looking at a purchase price of approximately $900 per vest. And
I was going to have a heart attack.
Big old,
She's
big old
thinking
vest.
big grants.
that's a really good vest. And so 50% of that would be budgeted in the city's budget, $2,250, plus we're estimating about $50 for shipping and handling, because that's not always approved by the grant program. And this grant application is due June 14th as well. So we're asking for your authorization to submit the application. I did have my budget meeting with my colleagues in finance yesterday, and we went through the need for the matching. in grant notes. And so they're aware of the need for the match in the police department. So they're looking and researching.
Okay.
Okay.
And the match, in the past, the police department has used forfeiture funds if they didn't have it in their city budget, and they had forfeiture funds in the past, they've used forfeiture funds for the match.
Okay. Good. Hey, council, any questions? Mrs. Bowen?
I may have asked this before, when we purchased the vest before, but we retired one K-9, and we still have, I believe, one. Do we have, do they have vest, the K-9?
I believe so.
Is that through a grant, the same kind of grant, or?
I don't know. I'd have to check with
That's a good question.
the police department. I have not worked on a grant application for the K-9.
I'd
But I'll
like-
be happy to check with. the
I'd like
PD.
for you to check on that and see, because I know they're just as expensive as a vest for one of our officers. And I believe they deserve to be protected as well.
I think that you had brought this up when Chief Davis was here, and I believe Chief Davis, and I think she just, yeah,
He did bring the dog with the vest.
He did have the
When we
vest,
meet,
right?
yes.
Yes.
And those are the same kind of, every so many years, they have to be replaced, so.
I don't know. I would think they.
I would think so.
I would
Kevlar
think
wears down.
so.
And if we can get them through grants,
I'll
it might
have
be
to,
something to look into if you can.
I'll have to check with them to see how they got.
Yeah, how they got that vest, yeah.
I know in the past, years ago, we got some K-9 equipment through an HEB grant, but I don't know if it was a vest,
Okay,
but I'll check.
Thank you.
and see.
thank you, I
Oh, you're
appreciate that.
welcome.
Just want to take care of them as well.
Oh, sure.
Mr. Burt?
And we have sufficient vests for our manpower as
Yes,
it is
sir.
now? Okay.
Yes, sir. There, we have a current grant with an available balance. So the police department is anticipating, I believe, some new hires this month and next month, so they can use the current BVP grant for the purchase of those new hires. And then, we apply for this grant during this funding cycle and receive an award, then they can use that for the 5 that
Falling off.
expired next fiscal year.
Thank you. Mr. Molina?
Yeah, I just had a quick kind of, just curious question. What happens to the vests that are like already done, like after 5 years? What do they do with them?
Well, I know in the past they've kept them and used them as spares, because they explained to me that at the end of 5 years, it doesn't automatically not keep you safe. So I know in the past they've kept them and used them as spares, or
Say that again? You said after 5 years what?
it doesn't just automatically not protect you anymore.
Right.
It doesn't just expire at
Sure.
the end of 5 years, but they try to stay ahead and not, and provide the officers with,
Yeah, it's
Well, also, we need to keep up with technology, how weapons are being made, and
and
The
the
vest and
grant
everything.
program has standards on what type of vest you can apply for. And so the project director, in this case Lieutenant Sines, will look through the menu in the grant application and level 3 threat, and then, the manufacturer. So, but I can ask them
No,
what they
I was
currently
just curious as to
do.
whether they get refurbished or they get sent back, or do we get some kind of,
I just know that in the past, they've kept some of the old ones.
because they're saying after 5 years, we need to replace them, then I wouldn't want anybody putting them on if.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think
you
that
never
it
know.
serves a couple of different purposes. One is we have to keep a couple of them in stock. Heaven forbid that one is used, one of the new ones is used along the way. They have to have something until they get a new one, right? But secondary, I didn't know if there was a program, because I know that in the fire department, we have a program where you can pass off some of that equipment when it's recertified or checked off to like volunteer fire departments or lesser programs and so forth like that. It was a good question. Is that what happens to them, or do we stockpile them?
I'll
So-
be happy to check what they do now. Sure, I'll be happy to check.
But I'm happy. I'm gonna tell you right now. Even 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when I was on council, you know, we weren't in a position where we're waiting for officers in order to buy vests.
No, we don't. We keep applying every,
But I'm just saying, we weren't there. We were behind.
Right.
We were behind where we had officers who had outdated vests. So thank you for staying on top of this and getting us ahead of the game, where now we're waiting on officers and ready to get them a vest and protect the people who are out there protecting us. So thank you.
And new officers coming in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, once they get here,
Yeah.
we're able to get them a new vest, and that way, you know, they can protect us properly. Where in the past, you know, the ones that were already here, we were just trying to figure out ways in order to get them new vests.
and I thank you, and I'd like to thank the project directors, the current one and the past ones, who have been diligent in talking to all the officers, getting all the serial numbers, the ages, and creating a document that says it expires.
Right.
Yeah.
Here, and we're gonna
Actually
need it.
tracking.
Their own little
Yeah.
Thank you.
database.
Thank you.
But I'll follow up on the K-9, and then I'll follow up about what they currently do with the old vest, and give you
Thank
that
you.
information.
We appreciate that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments or discussion?
No, thank you.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion for agenda item number 14.
May I make a I make a motion to authorize the city staff to submit a grant application to the Office of Justice Programs, Bureau of Justice Assistance, for up to 50% reimbursement for the purchase of 5 bulletproof vests under the fiscal year 2021 Bulletproof Vest Partnership Grant Program.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. Okay, we move to agenda item number 15. Discuss, consider, and act upon, A, adopting a resolution supporting the City of Alice, Texas detailed application, project ID 1_CRP_Alice01_Williams, SRTS_PA.PDF, to the Texas Department of Transportation's 2021 Transportation Alternatives set-aside call for projects. B, authorizing the city manager to sign and submit the project as described in 2021 TA detailed application. And C, committing to develop, implementation, construction, maintenance, management, and financing of project ID 1_CRP_Alice01_Williams, SRTS_PA.PDF.
Mayor and council, yeah. Mayor and council, the reason for that title is we have to use that in submitting the application.
Okay.
And this is the same sidewalk application that was submitted in 2019 that TxDOT had for transportation alternatives, safe routes to schools, SRTS, which has now been incorporated into the Transportation Alternatives Grant Program. So we're reapplying for 2021. And you'll see in your staff summary a description of the 5-foot wide sidewalk, and you have a map showing the location of the sidewalk. And the length of the sidewalk is about approximately 3,155 feet total length. And it will connect William Adams, St. Elizabeth, and will connect those schools to the library, to downtown, the central town. And that's part of the grant application about the connectivity. We've talked with the TxDOT engineer in Corpus about our project. We submitted a preliminary application that was accepted, and we were invited to supply the detailed application. During this funding cycle, TxDOT has what's called transportation development credits that are or which, if we're approved, and we would be able to use those transportation development credits for the match. So there would be no cash match for the project. Another special consideration is currently TxDOT has funding from the federal government to cover jurisdictions fewer than 5,000 population. So if our project is approved, TxDOT will put it on a conditional projects list that TxDOT prioritizes for future federal appropriations that TxDOT anticipates getting for 2023, 2024. So it wouldn't have, at this time, any fiscal impact on the city budget. So we're asking for your authorization to resubmit the sidewalk project under this current funding cycle. And TxDOT anticipates making award announcements by October. So we should know by October if our project made the conditional projects list.
Council, any questions or?
I'm good. This project we've submitted, you said we submitted before, but didn't we submit it on 3rd Street? Didn't we sit it on the south side of WAMS at one point, a few years back? And we were not approved at that point?
We're approved.
Huh?
This is the same route that we
It's always
submitted.
Oh, it's the same route? Okay,
Safe route to
Fifth.
school program.
okay.
On Fifth
Yeah, I
Street,
remember that. I
north side of
just, for
Fifth
some
Street.
reason, I thought it was closer to WAMS. I guess I'm just off there.
And this is a very competitive grant, right? There's several communities that are going out for
Yeah,
this grant.
and that's why one of the things, when we first submitted it, we started looking at the places where we really wanted to put these in. This was not the first location,
Remember
but this doesn't involve any other issues other than just sidewalks. Some of the other places we had needed drainage, and
That's
we
what-
didn't want to, we wanted it to be what they really wanted the grant to be for.
Yeah.
And there's no other work but just sidewalks here, and that's what made this, hopefully it'll be appealing this time.
We hope so.
I think that's
That might
that
be-
initial layout
might
was
be
the
at the
one that we were talking
drainage.
about with the drainage.
Yeah.
And then they were like, no.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Mr. Molina,
I have no questions.
Mr. Burke? No. Mrs. Bowen?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. If there's no further questions or discussion, I'll entertain a motion for agenda item number 15.
Mayor, I make a motion adopting a resolution supporting, here we go, supporting the City of Alice, Texas detailed application project ID 1_CRP_Alice01_Williams SRTS_PA.PDF to the Texas Department of Transportation 2021 Transportation Alternatives Set Aside Call for Projects. And B, authorizing the city manager to sign, submit, and the project as described in the 2021 TA detailed application, and C, committing to development, implementation, construction, maintenance, management, and financing for the project ID 1_CRP_Alice01_Williams SRTS_PA.PDF.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barber.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
You're not leaving yet.
Okay,
You give her a chair.
agenda item number 16, discuss, consider, and act upon A, authorizing the city manager to sign and submit a grant application through the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, TCEQ, Governmental Alternative, Fuel Fleet GAFF program for funds to purchase an electric vehicle. B, designating the city manager as the city's authorized official with the authority to accept a grant award and to sign all grant-related documents, and C, committing to operating and monitoring the use of an EV purchased with grant funds for a period of 3 years following TCEQ's verification and approval of proof of purchase documentation.
Mayor and council, this GAF is one of TCEQ's Texas Emissions Reduction Program, or TERP, which provides funding to help jurisdictions transition to alternative fuel vehicles and equipment. TCEQ has had the TERP program for a number of years. The GAF is a new program this funding cycle, and we would like to apply for the purchase of an electric vehicle for proposed use by staff in our risk management, code enforcement, and meter reader departments. The amount you can apply for depends upon the class of the vehicle, and the class of the vehicle is determined by the gross vehicle weight. So the class of vehicle we would be looking to purchase would be a Class 1 vehicle, which would involve applying for a $15,000 grant. The estimated purchase price that we're looking at for an electric vehicle, we compared, working with the city manager and the finance director, we compared 4 different types of electric vehicles, and we're looking at a Tesla 3 at a starting price of $37,990. So if we're approved for funding, the city would have to make up the difference between the purchase price and the grant of $15,000. And again, in working with my colleagues in the finance department, when I had my budget meeting yesterday, we went through grant notes for this project. So they're looking for sources for the matching funds. And you'll find in your packet a spreadsheet showing the 4 different electric vehicles that we looked at, and that the Tesla, that's all they do is manufacture electric vehicles. And since 2008, and then General Motors, Nissan, and Kia, we found out have been manufacturing electric vehicles since, General Motors 1996, Nissan 1947, and Kia since 1988. And one of the requirements of the grant program is the equivalent miles per gallon, but this would be per battery, and they all meet that requirement, the highway miles. And then you'll see on that spreadsheet the purchase price of each vehicle, and then the rating, the reliability, based upon the information we found on their websites. And Mr. Esparza and Roland know a lot about electric vehicles, so I'm sure if you have questions that I can't answer,
What's
they
your
can.
Says
It's
who?
not saying a lot. No, I don't, I think we know a little bit, right, Roland? As we went through this, trying to figure out which one we wanted to apply for, we kind of learned a lot, about the reliability and also the equivalency on how long, they would go on the miles per, based on the miles per gallon equivalency. But it's an interesting program that they have, it's like getting a vehicle for a 40% discount. We would pay $22,000 or $23,000, and the grant pays $15,000. Whether we'll get it or not, I don't know, but something that would be interesting to try
And-
for us.
If we don't get it, we can look at the other alternative fuel grant programs TCEQ has and see if we can apply under one of the other ones. TCEQ, the coordinator of this particular program, anticipates that they'd make decisions, announcements in July. So we may know by July or the end of July.
Council questions, Mr. Chris?
Yeah, I do actually. First and foremost, I guess the question is, are we applying for a grant just to be applying for a grant, or is this a vehicle that we would need anyway? You understand what I'm asking here? Yeah, so,
I mean, yeah, if we give it to meter readers need vehicles right now, I mean, they're on some of those old trucks. We need vehicles. And so it's not like we're just applying to apply, it's gonna be put to use.
And-
And then something else will probably be retired.
and at the 22, let's call it 25, right? Because we're gonna round up for simplicity's sake. At the 25, if we were paying for a non-electric vehicle, would we be getting would we still be ahead? Are we still ahead? Like, would we be paying more if we bought a regular vehicle for a regular?
Rolling the.
Do you understand what I'm asking
Yeah.
here? If we were just to go out to one of the local dealerships and buy a vehicle for the meter reading or whatever, are we still ahead at this 25 than if we actually just purchased something?
Well, a couple of things to consider. If we were to buy a vehicle for the meter reader to bring, that would probably be a pickup truck.
Okay.
But we're also going into the smart meters, so this will allow, like a car, to be able to be used. But by the same token, we're also trying to be proactive because according to everything we're reading, by 2025, like 40% of the fleet out there is gonna be electric on almost everybody. So we're trying to stay ahead of the game and be proactive and jump on this opportunity to try it out, to see, kind of like a little pilot study to see if it's feasible to do it or not. There's some that are hybrids, they're probably a little bit cheaper, that do your electric and your gas, where if you go under a certain speed, then it's electric, and you go a higher speed, whether it be 30, 40 miles, then you go into the gas portion of it. But it's really kind of like a pilot study to try to be proactive also, because it's coming regardless of whether we want to, realize it or not. It's sooner than later.
I'm not hating on electric vehicles by no means. I'm just, because the other thing is, like you said, with the hybrids and this one, the Tesla itself is being fully electronic. Are we gonna have to invest in a charging station or some kind of setup as well that's gonna be additional? Or do they literally, I mean, I know very little about electric cars, I'm gonna be perfectly honest. Or do they literally just plug into a wall socket? I don't think so, because otherwise you wouldn't have all those crazy things you see on TV. So, I mean, are we gonna have to invest in something like that as well?
They do sell you the additional, because it's like a 220, so that one is about $500 extra. There's some of the others that are just a regular 110 plug. And the Tesla will do a 110 plug, but you're talking about 8 hours for it to charge very little.
Right.
So you're a bit off with the power pack that they sell.
Okay. See, and that's just something that that I think, like I said, we just want to make sure we cover all the bases and everything's out there for everybody, because this is a big step for a city like Alice, let's be honest. I mean, you drive through Alice now and you see a couple of these new homes that have solar panels on them, and a lot of people are like, what is that? Why does their roof look like that? Well, it's just new, and yes, it is going that direction, and I can appreciate what you're doing here. I just want to make sure that we're just we have good reasoning for it, and that we're good stewards, like we always say, of the funding that we do have. You know what I mean? So.
There are some pickup trucks that are electric now. They'll be out in 2021. Electric, there's out before Lightning, that'll be out next year.
Right. Well, like you said, the purpose of this vehicle could be utilized different than what with the trucks for the readers and stuff like that. So, thank you for staying ahead of it. Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
The only question I have was the stipulation of 3 years, how does that work?
TCEQ would issue a contract that we'd have to sign, and it'll have the timeline in it.
3 years to
And we
purchase
have
it.
we have to commit to keeping the vehicle for 3 years and maintaining it, which would involve insurance and maintenance cost, but probably the only maintenance would be a new battery if you need it right.
It's very little maintenance, the
But-
batteries give you an 8-year, 100,000 miles on them.
But you do have to commit to the 3 years.
I'm just
And
curious.
and it would be in the contract with TCEQ. And they'll have the dates.
Okay. That's all.
You have here that the vehicle could be scheduled for use by the risk management, code enforcement, and meter reading personnel, but it's not limited to them, right? I mean,
Well, no, the grant application asks for the proposed use.
okay,
So as Mr. Esparza, Roland, and I were meeting on this project, we discussed, okay, who could use it? What's the proposed use? So we discussed those 3 departments.
okay.
I don't know that a contract would hold us to that, but that's what we're putting in the grant application, is those 3 departments as the proposed use. And we justified why those 3 departments, that the risk manager responds to all accidents involving city vehicles, equipment, and personnel, and provides training at least 2 weeks every month, and quarterly conducts inspections at city facilities. And then the meter readers, even with the new meters, they still have a little over 2,000 meters they read every day. And we put how many routes they have, and they do that every day. So they need a vehicle for that.
Got it. Okay.
And then code enforcement,
Oh, yeah,
the
they're everywhere.
work, yeah.
Got it.
Weedy lots, illegal dumping.
Okay, thank
So-
you.
I just have one question, maybe a couple, I don't know. On the vehicles versus, electric versus regular gas-powered, what's the life of a electric vehicle? Do y'all know, or?
I was telling Michael, I just read an article not too long ago over the Teslas right now. They're showing some that are over 300,000 miles. And they're still going strong. They don't really know what to answer your question directly, they really don't know what the life is, because they are trying them out and running them. In this particular case study, they were putting 17,000 miles a month on them. And they said that you couldn't tell that they had over 300,000 miles on it. Because there's no engine, there's nothing but batteries, really is what it is, so.
It's evolving technology.
It is.
So, yeah.
It's hard to say, but what the studies are showing so far is that they can last a long time. With very little maintenance, even on brakes, this is very, because when you let go of the gas, it just kind of slows down, because that's where it regenerates. So there's, even on the brakes, you hardly have to repair brakes or anything on it.
The only thing I would ask staff and everybody is that if we do get approved for this, at that time, we evaluate the cost of this vehicle versus, something standard, because just to be fair with the money and see where we're at. So just a cost comparison at that time, if we decide to move forward on this, if we're approved, just to go back and look and compare the 2 and just see where we stand to make sure it's comparable.
I'd also like to know how much the battery costs. Is it $20,000 for a new battery?
But he said we get 100,000 miles on it
8
too.
years.
Yeah, but I understand where you're coming from, because if they're going 300,
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that you're right, it's evolving, and as every year goes by, they're gonna come up with probably a cheaper technology for the batteries. Right now, if you replace them after 8 years, 100,000, they're pricey.
Yeah.
But 2, 3, 4 years from now, or even 8, it's gonna be a lot cheaper.
How much are they now, more or less?
Like if you had to replace the ones on the Tesla, it's probably like 10 grand.
10,000?
but I mean, it's like replacing a motor.
Well, yeah.
Yes, it's like replacing a motor.
After 100,000
Replacing a
miles.
Yeah,
Well, probably just have the same warranty, whatever dealership has,
yeah.
manufacturer.
Manufacturing warranties.
Yes.
So,
Like the idea.
Interesting.
if we're approved, then we could put it on the agenda again to come back to you. And then
And I think
Make
that
sure
you would
you
have, really have to
respond.
do that anyways.
Yeah.
I like it.
Because we'll have to also
Yes. the
budget
com-
for it.
A budget for it, yes. We're stepping all the way up to the 2000s in the city of
Have flying cars before you know
Dallas. Jetsons.
it. The Jetsons.
Any other questions or discussion, council? No? Okay. So I'll entertain a motion for agenda item number 60.
Mayor, I make a motion authorizing city manager to sign and submit grant application through the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality Government Alternative Fuel Fleet Program for funds to purchase an electric vehicle. B, designate the city manager as the city's authorized official with authority to accept a grant award and to sign all grant-related documents. And C, committing to operating and monitoring the use of any electric vehicle purchased with the grant funds for a period of 3 years following verification and approval of purchase documentation.
Okay. First and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
No.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item number 17, conduct a public hearing to discuss, consider, and act upon accepting Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation for the final plat Mary Lake subdivision, a subdivision of 0.4284 acres for 18,660 square feet, situated in the Marcelino Lopez 4 Sitio, I don't know if I said that right, but grant, abstract number 281, City of Alice, Jim Wells County, Texas, also known as 1728 East Main Street. And
Ma-
Patrick, you'll be speaking on this, right?
Yes, Mayor and Council, if you would, I'll give a little overview of it, and then you can open the public hearing.
Okay.
This property is the old Thomas Exxon that's over in front of Vita Shopping Center. We're hoping that it'll be some sort of a development here in the near future. We don't know exactly what's going to go in there officially, but it's been replatted to, I think it wasn't properly platted years and years ago when it was originally a Thomas Exxon, so they're just updating it before they develop it.
Okay. So at this time, it's 6:32. We'll open it up for public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in reference to this agenda item?
While we're waiting, Mayor, I'll add that the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation was to approve.
To approve? Okay. We'll wait another minute.
You can close it. You know,
Yeah, okay. I'll go ahead and close this public hearing to discuss this agenda item. It is 6:33. No one came forward, so we are closing the public hearing right now. Okay, Patrick, thank you. Okay, council, any questions in reference to agenda item number 17?
I have a question for our attorney. The P&Z recommend approval pending engineering stamp and survey. Does that have to be stated in the motion?
I'm sorry, tell me again. I was looking at
Oh,
another question.
I never ask you questions, right?
Yes, you do. You don't. Ask me, I'm sorry.
No, I said, the recommendation from the P and Z says, recommending approval pending engineering stamp and surveying. Does that have to be stated in the motion?
No, it does not, and that actually, they got it, this was an
Oh.
issue.
So at the time of the P and Z meeting, it was not stamped.
Okay.
And to not slow down the process, we wanted to, the Planning and Zoning Commission wanted to move it through
Perfect.
and not
Yeah,
slow
'cause
it
I
down and
noticed
be
it
able to
was-
make it onto this council meeting. So
I noticed
that
it
that was the
wasn't
purpose of that.
in here, and I know that it's not like.
But it does
okay.
have it does have the proper stamp now.
Thank
You all
you.
couldn't approve it pending that stamp.
Right.
So they presented to you pending the stamp, which was done between the time.
Got
that
it,
they did
got
and
it.
the time it got to you.
Okay,
All in an effort to keep it moving.
you got it. Great job. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments, council? No? Okay. At this time, I'll entertain a motion for agenda item number 17.
I'd like to make a motion accepting the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation for the final plat. Mary Lake subdivision, a subdivision of .4284 acre, 18,660 square feet, situated in the Marcelino Lopez 4 Sitio Grant. Abstract number 281, City of Alice, Jim Wells County, Texas, also known as 1728 East Main Street.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. Okay, agenda item number 18, discuss, consider, and act upon a resolution on an offer to purchase tax sale property, suit number 13-08-16209-B, Benbolt Palito Blanco Independent School District, Jim Wells County, Texas, City of Alice, Alice Independent School District, Alice Water Authority, and Brush Country Groundwater Conservation District, and Jim Wells County Freshwater District Number 1 versus Israel Garcia and Esmeralda E. Garcia, also known as Lot 11, Block 1, Kolchak addition and an addition to the City of Alice, Jim Wells County, Texas, as described in Volume 806, page 414, Official Records of Jim Wells County, Texas.
Mayor and council, so this is a tax foreclosure that resale property that is actually going the other way than it usually is. The amount due to all the entities is about $1,000 and the bid is $4,800. So all the entities are going to get more than the taxes owed. I will note that on the language on top and on the agenda item, it references Ben Bolt and Jim Wells County Freshwater District, although this is in the city limits and it's on Ida Street, so that doesn't apply, but the account number is right on this property. And conferred with our city attorney, and he says it's fine to approve it the way it is.
Okay.
It is. The other language precatory, it specifically references us, and so that's all that concerns us and and correctly identifies the property. And so anything else is what you call precatory or additional language that we don't need.
Okay. Council, any discussion, comments? Mr. Chris?
No, thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Molina? Mrs. Bowen?
No, thank you.
Okay. So with no discussion or any other questions, I'll entertain a motion for agenda item number 18.
Mayor, I make a motion to adopt a resolution on an offer to purchase tax sale property, suite number 13-08-16209-B for the Jim Wells County, Texas, City of Alice, Alice Independent School District, Alice Water Authority, and Brush Country Groundwater Conservation District, and Jim Wells County Freshwater District Number 1 versus Israel Garcia and Esmeralda E. Garcia, also known as Lot 11, Block 1, Kolchak addition, and in addition to the City of Alice, Jim Wells County, Texas, as described in Volume 806, page 414, Official Records, Jim Wells County, Texas.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. Agenda item number 19, the city council may enter into closed or executive session for the following matters. The city council may enter into closed or executive session for the following matters: attorney consultation pursuant to Section 551.071, Texas Government Code to provide legal advice and counsel in connection with the city's legal rights, duties, privileges, and obligations under Chapter 174, Texas Local Government Code arising out of the pending collective bargaining negotiations between the City of Alice and the duly recognized majority bargaining agent for the city's Alice Police Department personnel. 2, review and appraisal regarding administration, contracts, projects, and claims concerning the City of Alice. So, at this time, at 6:40, we will enter into executive session. Patty?
Give us a thumbs up.
Okay. Hey. Agenda item number 20, return to open session, deliberate, consider, and take action necessary as a result of discussion in the immediately preceding agenda item number 19.
Mayor, I think at this time, no action needed.
Do we,
That's correct.
this all, okay.
We can just move on to the next agenda item.
Okay, so no action taken on agenda item number 20.
Action needed or no action taken?
No action.
Taken or needed?
Big difference.
No action taken. Okay, agenda item 21. Discuss, consider, and act upon, 1, establishment, dissolution, division, and/or reorganization of the Alice boards, commissions, and committees. And 2, appointments, reappointments, removal, and/or term clarifications of appointments, vacancies and/or memberships of the City of Alice boards, commissions, and committees. Examples would be Board of Adjustments and Building and Standards. This item is being sponsored by myself and our Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Molina. Mr. Molina?
And Mayor also, and Mayor Pro Tem, we have, some of these are specifically these two, Patrick will be able to address as well as I went through the list. It seems like that Patrick has about 6 of the boards and Yolanda may have 2. I have one that's just, I put mayor on because it's a housing authority, and then I touch about 5 of them. So, I don't know, y'all wanted this on the agenda, so if you want Patrick to go about some, or if y'all want to address what you wanted to address on some.
Do you have?
Yeah, I just wanted to address the Building and Standards Commission. I'm sorry, yeah, I get a lot of feedback from folks about code issues, you know, and I'm always kind of going back and forth, kind of guiding them, helping them. There've been some that have been really extreme and kind of just never go away. And it's I think we talked about it, and
Sorry, sir.
I want to say that they haven't met, or the commission hasn't met in a while.
Yeah.
Quite some time.
Thank you.
And I think it's important to have that resource there to kind of,
Thank you.
for them to,
Okay,
you need
yeah.
one, boss? I think it's important to have that in place so that, you know, we have active folks that, you know, are, what's the word for it? You know,
Engaged.
engaged in how our community looks, for one thing, you know, right? I mean, it's a lot of eyesores around the city, a lot of folks, you know, they get up and leave, and they might have somebody come mow every now and then, but, I mean, those are the minor things. I'm more concerned about the ones that are, you know, like in really,
More
really.
abandoned.
I'm sorry?
More abandoned.
Yeah, they just been there for years, and you know, I don't want to fall in that rut where, you know, we're just kind of just, you know, accepting and dealing with it and kind of, you know, letting a blind eye. So if we could, you know, kickstart that commission again, I think that'd be great with some, you know, some fresh ideas and some fresh, you know, people.
So you guys started this in 19?
It wasn't started, we actually assigned
Or,
people in 19.
Actually appointed some new people. So there's 3 people on that board, and I think you really need 2 more. And then if you get, then they can kind of be activated. I mean, Patrick has some things he can take to them already. But you have Danny Haygood, and Amanda Friedrich, and Bill Acker, that are on that board.
There's also an applicant. The reason I passed these applicants.
Yeah, I was gonna
these
say,
are-
who exactly are?
These are for planning and zoning, but Mr. Peña has also indicated that he wants to serve on the,
Very good.
on the Building and Standards Commission as well, so
Okay.
there's another applicant that you guys
Great.
could consider.
Yeah, just want to reactivate it and get, you know, because like, you know, some issues have come up where, Kind of like we discussed,
Yeah.
Michael, that,
So currently, there's only three, or there were only three that were active. It requires four to be able to have a quorum for that board. So appointing a fourth one today would get us, or reappointing the three and appointing a fourth would get us the ability to actually start having meetings and start getting a little bit more active with it. And then there's some alternates and another fifth position that would need to be filled.
so
but-
those three were appointed in 2019?
Yes.
And have the
Have they even engaged at all to try to
They
have a
have
meeting
tried
to do
to,
anything?
they have tried to meet. I think Ms. Friedrich tried to meet, but you have to have four to have a quorum, and there was only three appointed to that. So we never got that fourth one to be able to have an actual meeting. So,
Yeah, if you have on that, if you want to appoint somebody, this board can get back on track. And then I think maybe a recommendation would be, so there's a lot of these on here and on your list. If you want to take action on that board specifically. And then what we would like from a staff level is kind of give the okay on what the boards are, because there's a long list that are.
Right.
Yeah, I've got
Inactive
highlights like crazy
dissolve.
right here.
Yeah.
And then come back with, here it is, and here's what they are, and here's the booklet. And so we can take some of these other ones off that have been gone since.
Yeah, there's 20 active out of the 60.
No, there's not.
There's
There's
some-
not. There's 8 active that are actually active.
Well,
Right.
yeah.
They
so-
have green.
I mean, so they've got green, and I've got 19 listed as active, but there's actually 8. If we appoint this one and they meet, that becomes 9.
Got it.
And I only say 8 because we did another one earlier today. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So,
So I think right now, what we'd like to do is what Mr. Molina brought up in reference to Building and Standards Commission and address it and present the applicant.
yeah, right now I have one applicant, and I mean, if
Would
us.
you like to present that
You guys know
to
somebody else.
council?
I think
The
it
appointment comes
was-
from you guys.
he
Give you
handed
that
it to us.
one?
Yeah,
No,
It was
yes,
Adrian
Building-
Adrian
Okay.
Peña.
Building
I think
Okay.
it's next to last in y'all stack that he gave.
Oh, okay. Oh, so-
building and
okay.
Mr. Peña currently serves on our Planning and Zoning Commission.
So is this one for planning and zoning?
He's also seeking to
And
get
then we've got
reappointed
one.
for Planning and
Okay,
Zoning,
that's
but
what I thought.
he's
Okay.
indicated he's interested in serving on the Building and Standards Commission as well. He's been pretty active on the Planning and Zoning Commission. He attends the meetings and is involved with them, so I don't have any objection to him.
How does, and I'm just kind of curious, Michael, how does that work as far as like, now we have Adrian, now we have 4. So,
Patrick wants to get with them and, actually.
Patrick's kind of the liaison that
Yeah.
kind of says.
For that board,
okay,
yes. So there's 6 boards that are boards or commissions, committees, whatever you want to call it, that kind of touch my departments, so that's why I kind of,
Okay.
am the liaison for those
Nice,
commissions.
perfect. Appreciate that.
So like, if you want to appoint him already, we can get kind of that one out of the way.
The motion.
If you'd like to do that, but what I'd like to do after that is go through the list that I have
Okay.
here of what, and some of these aren't necessarily kind of,
So
things that I think are,
we would need a reappointment of the 3 that were appointed in
Right.
19 because they are now expired. So we would
Okay.
need to
They don't expire
reappoint
till
them.
2021,
right,
till December.
2021.
Oh, December. Okay, so
But-
at the end of this month, or at the end of this year.
Good, but you could just say,
I see what you're saying, yeah.
reappoint all of them today.
On the,
And start fresh.
on the description on here, it says Building and Standards Commission, 2 years, 5 members, and 4 alternates. And it says 4 alternate members serve at request of mayor or city manager.
Oh, okay.
Meetings called by chair, commission members. So on the ones that are required, we could just, right now, because the other 4 are alternates, and those are appointed by city manager
Okay, so
or
we
mayor.
can,
So this ones we would
yeah, so we can.
appoint to the board. I
Yeah,
mean, to
we
the
can
commission.
do one more, which will give us a quorum,
Okay,
and then and then
Well,
you guys.
4 is the quorum, is this Peña.
Right.
If we go that route, and then there's one alternate if, I guess if the mayor has somebody, since we don't have anybody, that would be an alternate until the council appoints somebody.
Well, Michael and the mayor could come up with some alternates, right?
Oh, yeah,
Amongst
Michael's in there.
themselves, right? Now, does Mr. Peña have to be added like by motion?
Yeah,
or-
by
Yeah,
motion.
you guys
Yes.
need to,
Okay.
and that's where I would recommend that you can appoint him and then reappoint today also the other 3, and so they all have the same start date.
yes.
Exactly, because the term has, I was gonna say, you couldn't appoint them all at one time, but
Right.
if you make your motion to appoint him and then reappoint them for a new term, even
Okay.
though their term hasn't expired, I think we're fine.
I think that's the best thing to do.
Okay.
So
Do a
they
motion?
start all together.
Okay. Mayor, I make a motion to appoint Adrian Peña to the Building and Standards Commission.
Second.
Okay.
Second.
Second. Or, Did we
Okay, so
need
we
to-
have
To
a,
add the other,
oh, we can do it as another motion?
oh, okay.
so we have a first and a second to appoint Mr. Adrian Peña to the Building and Standards Commission. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Okay,
Okay, and then I'd
passes.
also like to make a motion to, is it reappoint? Reappoint, is it Danny Haygood
Danny Haygood, Amanda
Amanda
Friedick,
Friedick.
and Bill Acker.
and Bill Acker to the Building and Standards Commission.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Same sign. Okay, motion passes.
Okay, so that
So
one.
that gives
so
us
we're
enough to
good
have a
with that.
quorum to get that, that board
Now I
active
Thank you,
again.
have
Patrick.
to
Appreciate
Change
that.
my highlight on that one.
Okay. The, go ahead.
Can I go through this on the numbers? Or you want to go through it?
What, the reason I had asked to have this on here was so that council could review the committees that are on here and then kind of just give guidance to staff or to let us know, you know, which ones we want it to continue with.
Right.
Only to clean it up.
And I think that Councilmember Bowen has actually, in the last several months, has actually had done the same thing, and we've presented this list repeatedly in order to try to do this. So, yeah, so no, y'all are on the same page in order to try to get
She's
this
been
thing
working
done.
on a binder for,
I've been,
Yeah, she's got a binder,
Months.
and I've got highlights as well. That's why when I made my statement earlier, that it shows all these active ones, they may be considered active, but truly active, we only have
I brought this.
7, 8,
17.
9 or so, you know what I mean?
Wow.
So that's the huge difference,
Yeah.
so.
So I think that'll be good.
And-
yeah, let me show you what I have here when I went through it today.
Okay.
For what is, and I'm not going to say, I mean, these are the ones that I think would need to come back because of what they are. So we have an airport committee, number 2. And that one, I touch on that as the airport manager as well. We have the Alice Housing Authority,
Same.
and that's kind of the mayor's sole thing on there. And then after that, we go on to 8, which is Alice Water Authority, which is what I touch also. Then we have the Board of Adjustments,
Same.
which may not be active right now, but we would be able to use them if we need them as a board, and that's something that Patrick touches. Then we have the Builders Advisory Board, which would be good to bring back to have and tweak it a little bit for their role. Patrick touches that.
But that's not active at all right now, because I have that one as a
Right.
Correct.
questionable
Yeah,
yellow.
questionable.
Yeah.
And that's what I have to bring back, so he'll have some information on that.
Okay.
Then we go to number 16, which is Building and Standards, which we talked about, and that's Patrick. We have the Coastal Bend Council of Governments, which I touch. That is, then we have the Chamber of Commerce, which as a entity where, you know, I think they're gonna want to have, do we need to have it on here or not? Probably not.
I have it as an eliminate because it's a separate
Right.
entity. If they want to
if-
bring
and
us
if-
in, it's the same thing.
If they want to have somebody similar to the EDC, they want to have representation from the city as ex officios, then they'll let us know that's not something that we would have on our end.
I think they had already brought that to our
Yeah.
attention, and I've attended several of those.
Right.
So we can
Appreciate
scratch
it.
that.
But I don't think it's considered one of our boards or
Right.
No,
committees.
it's
Right,
not.
no.
To be
That's why it should
removed.
be
Yeah.
removed.
The Library Board, 25, which Yolanda will touch. The Jim Wells County Appraisal District Board of Governors that we do twice a year. I mean,
Way to
every
38.
2 years. And then we go on to the next page, that was number 38. The next page, we have Keep Alice Beautiful Committee, which is a little bit active, right, Patrick? Is that right?
We've had some interest in it. We don't have a full board yet. We
We
need to
had
reappoint
we
that.
had a meeting
They had a
Monday.
meeting. Yeah, I was going to
Okay.
say, because
Yeah.
Yolanda touched base on it at Rotary
Okay.
about that meeting.
So
Okay.
then we go to number 44, Planning and Zoning, which Patrick is a part of. 47, which y'all did, the Public Recreation Board. which
But that-
Yolanda would be the liaison on that.
Would that be, but it's the Alice Public Recreation Committee, so it would
Right.
actually be it needs to be an entity of its own with a brand-new
Yeah, yeah.
charter and everything.
But for,
Not
yeah,
charter, but yes, so it would be a new one on the bottom, yes.
right.
Yes.
And I have here move, change name, so,
Yeah.
but in essence, similar to that. And then that last one is one that you guys created, the Alice Business Ambassadors Committee is 60. And that's something that Patrick can kind of touch as well when we get kind of going.
Yeah. And I have a set of bylaws for that one too. If you're interested, Patrick, I can shoot them over to you and so you can review and see what's going on with that. And then we decide if we're going to move forward on it or not.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have to keep it, right?
Patrick said.
We can vote on not keeping that one. I mean, if we don't want it. Or any of these.
Yeah.
Do you want, yeah.
There's a lot of applications, remember? We just never brought it.
Well, the problem is that we had a lot of applications for something they had no idea what they were applying for.
Right,
You just-
right.
Yeah, that's
do
the.
it.
And that's a
why.
big difference. That's one of the issues that we had and why we decided not to appoint anybody is that people were applying for something that we didn't know what the board or committee was going to do.
So is that one that y'all want to bring back or not bring back?
I think we
We
need
can discuss it.
to pull in Patrick and actually have a good discussion on whether or not, once you look at it and get an idea of what you want for it, if that's something that we need, it's hit or miss because when we started developing that one, the idea was shifting the ambassadors from the chamber, but that is not what our city needs.
No.
You know what I mean? Our city needs ambassadors that have dealt with downstairs and know the process for a business in changing what they're doing or developing what they're doing, getting their permits and moving things forward. They don't necessarily need ribbon cuttings and things of that nature. So the idea of what this Alice Business Ambassadors and what the Chamber Ambassadors were two completely different things. That's why when those applications came in, I'm like, wait, do they know what they're applying for? Because we need people that have dealt with downstairs, and that's a question for Patrick to say, is this a committee or is this a board that you feel is going to be beneficial for the city or not? So you need to think about it. We can review it and go from there.
I agree.
Okay. So then those are,
Questionable.
that kind of is 13 then.
Yeah,
So
because you
it's
listed a couple that I didn't have.
2, 3, 8, 11, 14, 16, 17, 25, 38, 39, 44, 47, and potentially 60. And the 47 is going to be a change name and things like that, so.
Right.
Yeah. So I think what I really like to see, and this is just visual effects, is this separated into two separate lists, because we're going down it and then have the proper documentation on the back, because right in our packet now, there's two separate things for each of the boards, really, when you go through it. And I think it's because that packet is kind of put together that way. But if we can limit it down to say, hey, these 13 boards that we're actually interested in, that's the documentation that we need, and everything else can go in a binder, all of its own somewhere else. You know what I mean? Just, it simplifies what you have to do every time we bring this up. We're scanning, 13 boards worth of stuff, not 60 boards worth of stuff.
That's what the purpose was, so that staff would have direction and then
Yeah.
clean this up and then be able to give us better information as to who's active on it and then what action do we need to take as a council in reference to applicants or members. And we'll know who's active, or how many members we actually have that do want to continue serving. So I think this is a good start and a
Yeah.
good thing for, so.
Are you guys going to motion to bring those back? Is that something kind of, and make those,
To be
like,
updated and.
or call those active now? Or how do you think that ought to be done, John?
Well, if you're not going to take any specific action to appoint or to direct those boards tonight, you just put it back on the agenda and you come back
I'll
with
just
the
bring it back.
understanding
Okay.
with the understanding that you're going to consider it at a later date.
Planning and zoning.
I think you've given instructions.
Planning and zoning.
This agenda item, you can give staff instructions, which you've done. You've been able to have without a walking quorum, you've been able to have a discussion of everybody here and what your all's attitudes and opinions are with staff present. And that's really what this agenda item is for.
Perfect. Yes. And that way we can get it reduced, and then when it comes back, if it's not on the keep active list, it becomes dissolved or inactive and therefore moved off, and it not disappear completely, because it may want to be reactivated in the future like we have done in the past.
Yeah.
But it allows for it to be cleaner and for staff to actually be able to focus.
And, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You know, after reviewing this for a long time, and Odie, thank you for helping me put this together. You did a great job on it. And, but I've noticed that the people the backup that was with this, that says it's active, of course, they're like from 2004, 2005. So they're really not active, but they should be, you know, some of them. But I'd like to see what you did with the other one, we do with most of these. Make sure that bylaws and all that stuff is up to date and written properly with each one.
Right. Or if they have their own independent charter or whatever it is.
Exactly.
Have it presented so that we can review it, you
Yeah.
know, their bylaws, their charter, or whatever it is, so that we can, you know,
Yeah.
we can actually know what it is. And it would actually be able to allow us to appoint the proper people
Right.
to each of these boards and commissions if
It
we
would
know
help.
exactly what they do.
It would help.
You know what I mean?
And,
What the
and
purposes
it's
of
a lot easier for Odie to organize this now,
Yes.
now that we're condensing it too.
Yes.
This is
Appreciate
the
your
stuff
work.
that I found in different drives.
And you know, the funny thing
Good
is
job.
I
You
know
did a
that
good job.
you put this together, but even 4 years ago, this is the basic same kind of just dump
Yes.
that we would get, and it was hard to ever move on them because we only knew which ones were active because we contacted different people in those boards and commissions, and we've all been a part of a little piece of it one way or another. But I think this, if we want to utilize the citizens of Alice, this is the best way to do it.
And there's several people, like when I brought this up the first time, there was, you know, that's why we got so many applications too. I mean, besides the advisory board for the ambassadors, you know, that one. There's some good people in our community that really want to help, you know, so it's exciting. It's something that we need to do. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Patrick, in planning and zoning is by nature active by the role of what it is. Patrick, I think, has some
Yes.
people that he wants to ask to get appointed, right?
So what I've done with planning and zoning, and city manager's right, that is one of the more active boards right now. You know, the plats, the zoning things. We meet monthly, pretty regularly. This month we'll actually have 2 meetings this month, just because we have so many things that we need to address. But what I did at the planning and zoning meeting is I requested all the board members to fill out an application if they were seeking to be reappointed, because I wanted to know, do they really want to be there or not, you know, that type of thing. And so everyone that is on that board that is seeking to be reappointed, you have a copy of their application. So that's, you know, them, it served 2 functions. One, to get updated information for each one of them, mailing addresses and emails and phone numbers, things like that. And then, again, just reassuring that they do want to continue to serve on those boards. So I do have that stack. There were a few that did not turn in applications, did not seek to be reappointed. And so I do have some applications that Odie had received that did, you know, are seeking to serve on that board as well. So I'll pass these out as well if you want to just take a look.
Can we get a copy?
There's three applicants, and we have 2 vacancies right now of 2 that did not want to get reappointed.
And the
Right now,
pack-
and I'll read the ones that are seeking reappointment that are currently there and active. Mr. Ronnie Benavides,
He is? Okay.
he is active, he does attend.
Thank you.
Manny Galindo, he's currently the chair, and he's pretty active. He's got a lot of experience on that board. Jan Irwin as well is very active. She attends most of the meetings. Adrian Peña is also very active, attends the meetings. Sarah Perkins, who's the newest member, and the reason I'm presenting all these is because every one of them is either expired or will expire this year.
Seeing on the list that we have, we don't even have Adrian Peña listed as an
Right.
active member.
Yeah, I have Adrian Peña, I have Sarah Perkins. Do you have Sarah Perkins on there?
Yes.
So Sarah Perkins was the last one appointed. Adrian was appointed right before her.
We don't have
And
him
this is a
listed.
3-year term? I mean, 3-year, according to the, what I'm looking at.
Yeah, the same cover sheet yeah. I think it's a 3-year. And then I have Brent Starr. Joe, and then those are the ones that are current. And then I have Ruben Todd, who, I don't have his application, but he did say that he did want to continue to. So Ruben Todd Garcia is also on there.
So we need to,
3, 4,
So all of those would be
6.
reappointments, if you guys choose to reappoint them. And then I also have, that would leave 2 vacancies. Wilma Slayton she's done a lot for not just this board, but a number. If you look at those lists, you'll see her name on there multiple times. She's served on different boards and commissions for a long
I
time.
didn't catch the name. What was the name?
Wilma Slayton,
Slayton?
yes, but she's no longer seeking reappointment, and
Okay.
They're looking at
About
that's what I'm looking for.
Gilbert is no longer seeking to be
Oh, okay.
reappointed. He's ready to hang his hat.
and Robert Vasquez, was he,
That's not the name.
I don't have a Robert Vasquez,
we have Robert Vasquez. It was probably supposed to be Adrian.
maybe. Yeah, I don't have a Robert Vasquez.
No?
I think he took my place when I,
So there's 5 reappointments and 2 new ones?
No, there's gonna be
Second
7 reappointments.
4, 5,
Yeah.
6,
Brent
7.
Starr's a reappointment,
Yes.
and Ruben Todd would be new?
No, Ruben
Ruben's
Todd's a
new.
reappointment.
He's a reappointment.
Or do you just want to write on
Adrian
this?
Peña, Sarah Perkins, Manny Galindo,
So 1, 2,
Janet Irwin, and Ronnie Benavides. That's who I have.
This one's gone.
And this one's
That one's
gone.
gone,
3,
and
4,
that one's
5,
gone.
6, 7.
And then you have
And
one
there's
that's
9
already on it,
members.
Adrian Peña, who is already on it.
So you're looking to seek 2 additional members
Correct. I need to replace.
out of these 3 suggestions.
Right, I need to replace Mr. Aguirre and Ms. Slayton.
And you have 3
They haven't-
applicants.
There's gonna be 2 of the 3, because there's only 9. There's only 9 positions. It's Mr. J.J. Johnson. Renee Munoz.
So just these two, I guess,
Hmm.
right?
Oh, I
Robert?
know Renee. I like Renee. I know Renee. I know JJ as well.
So a little bit about the applicants. I don't know them very, very well, but I do know them a little bit. Mr. Johnson is, currently works for the Coastal Plains MHMR. He's, I believe, director or manager for that facility. Mr. Munoz, Rene Munoz, works for AEP. He's some sort of a technician. I don't know exactly what his job is. I know he works for AEP, though. And then Mr. Victor Garza, I don't know anything about him, to be honest with you. He does
the-
have a,
He's the new chamber
President
guy.
of the chamber.
But in my, I'm just gonna, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Out of the 3, if you look at the 3, Mr. Munoz and Mr. J.J. Johnson, they both only really put out for the planning and zoning, where Mr. Victor has put out for multiple, and maybe we can utilize him, because he's also doing the chamber, if I'm not mistaken. Is this the same gentleman?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, that maybe we can utilize him on the new Public Recreation Advisory Council and the library, and allow the other 2 gentlemen that have just assigned for that one to go in that direction.
That's
Just my
kind of,
thoughts on it.
kind of the way I was thinking, leaning toward too, because,
Renee Munoz.
Oh, Renee. He's the one that works for AEP.
Yes.
Okay.
so I don't know where this application came from, but not all the boards that were available were on here, so I don't, like, for instance, there's no,
That's the older one.
the building and standards, there's not a building and standards check on here, so,
You just fill out the form.
Well, I think once Michael brings this back, that this whole application should be updated with
Right.
the ones that actually they can apply for, as opposed to the ones that are appointed specifically by, mayor or whomever, so, but.
do I have this application?
well, it also says on this other application, if they have any other, they can list it here if
Right.
it's not there.
Right.
So the application for boards and commissions.
This is the older one.
This is the older one?
I think this is the older one.
That's the older
Yeah.
one.
I
have
this
two
is the
di-
new
two
one.
different
This is the
ones,
one
yeah.
I,
Is this the one that's online?
yes, I want to say so, because it lists only these.
I want to say this one's the one that they can click on online.
Oh, okay.
That's the difference.
At this one too. Because that's the one that has the Alice ambassadors. That's the new one. But see, we don't even have a charter review.
You don't have an elections committee, we don't have,
Okay.
yeah, this needs to be.
Period.
Patrick, can you, just one more time for council, go over the ones you're seeking for reappointment, just so that
Sure.
we all have the same,
So seeking reappointment is going to be Mr. Ronald Benavides,
okay,
Manuel Galindo,
okay,
Jan Irwin,
okay,
Adrian Peña, Sarah Perkins, and Travis Brent Starr.
And Ruben Todd.
And then Ruben Todd, correct.
It's Mr. Ruben Todd Garcia.
Yes, Mr. Ruben Todd Garcia.
Sorry.
Yes.
See, I
Yes.
I just know Ms.
The
Ruben
one
Todd.
variant that's there,
I just
Mayor,
know
is
Ms. Ruben
that
Todd.
they have Robert Vasquez listed across the bottom, but he's not, this person is not actually a member of that board. It's actually, instead it's Adrian Pena.
If I could spend the night again.
Okay, I wrote him up here, okay.
And all these were appointed prior to my arrival in dealing with any of these, so I don't know.
Some of them were
The paperwork that I have does not show Robert Vasquez anywhere on there.
Okay. All right. So, would y'all like to
Mayor, point of order, so you're ready to call for a motion?
motion? Mhm.
Mayor, I make a motion to reappoint Manuel Galindo, Roland Benavides, Brett Starr, Ruben Todd Garcia, Jan Irwin, and Sarah Perkins, along with Adrian Pena to the Planning and Zoning Commission, along with new appointments for Mr. Rene Munoz and Mr. Joel J. Johnson to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, so
Thank you, Patrick.
Oh, I got it.
thank you, and
No, I got it. The building and standards and the planning and zoning, got that. And then we'll bring this one back with,
Yes, the other gentleman. We'll reach out to him and see if he still wants to be a part of it with the new bylaws.
okay, so for agenda item 21, we're gonna, do we need a motion to bring it back or just
No,
for the
you
second
just,
part?
just put it
like-
back on the
I
agenda.
think we're good with the directive.
You guys
Okay.
talk it again.
Thank you.
Yeah,
All
I'll bring it
right.
back.
Thank you, Patrick.
Wake up, Roland.
It's go time, Roland.
Pobrecito. I tried to get him to go before executive session, but
Open up agenda item 22, here status report on April 2021 month-end financial statements and summary of funds and delivery of April 2021 check registers and discussion on sales tax revenues.
We're 7 months into the fiscal period, so we should be about 58% right now. And our general fund revenues through the month of April is $6,698,279, and that's almost 59%, so we're a little over the targeted amount. We'll start with property tax. Property tax year-to-date budget was $1,631,929, and our year-to-date collection is $2,701,915. That's current delinquent principal and interest, penalty and interest, I'm sorry. On Exhibit B, you'll have our property tax collected that includes your M&O and your INS. 2021, we had $3,744,387. And last year at this time, we had $3,792,272, which is about almost $48,000 less than what we were last year at this time. Sales tax, we had $3,150,000 year-to-date budget, and year-to-date collection is $2,122,097. This is through February. On Exhibit C, we'll have budget versus actual. Budget through 21 is $2,700,000, and 21 actual was $2,728,197. So that's an increase of $28,197. This does include your March collections, which this month came in a little over $606,000. That probably was your stimulus.
Stimulus
Money, so that bumped us up to over 28,000, budget versus actual. So that helped out quite a bit. On Exhibit D, we have actual 21 versus actual 20, and that's about 19,521 over, and 21 versus 2020. Our occupational mixed beverage, we're about 35% year-to-date. Franchise license and permits was a little over 39%. collections. Intergovernmental was about 31%. Charges for services was about 145%. Fines and forfeitures was about 45.5%. Miscellaneous revenues was almost 75%. And our interfund transfers is right at the 58%. Our, on Exhibit E, we have our general fund expenditures. And that's $6,551,113, which is right at the, almost the 56%, which is about 2.5% below our targeted amount, which is a good thing in, as far as expenditures go. Our general service, some of the larger departments, general services is 54%, so that one's under budget. Finance is a little over at 66, but that's due to some software fees and the Jimwell County, the Prezo District expenses we had to pay. Fire department's right on target at 58, almost 59%. Police department is a little under at 52, a little over 52%. Street maintenance is about 53%. Parks and playgrounds was about 52.5%. So for the most part, general fund expenditures are down. Exhibit F, we have revenues versus expenditures. This is for all the funds. 2021 general fund, we're 147,166,000 in the positive, and that's through February sales tax. Solid waste is 123,490 in the negative. Utility fund is 369, almost 370 in the positive. Airport is a little over 3,100, almost 3,200 in the positive. That's including your transfers from the general fund. Golf course fund is over 98,326 in the negative with the transfers. Oh, I'm sorry, 50,172 with the transfers. Hotel occupancy tax fund is 101,119, and your multi-use complex is 69,574 in the negative with the transfers. The last exhibit, G, we have 2020 versus 2021. For general fund, we had 2020 was 201,238, and in 2021 it's a little over 147,000. Solid waste was in the negative 136,470, and this year it's 123,490. Utility fund was about 792,000 in the positive last year, and in this year it's almost 370,000 in the positive. Airport was a little over 6,800 in the negative, and this year it's about almost 3,200 in the positive. Golf course fund was almost 8,600 in the negative, and this year it's over 50,000 in the positive. Hotel occupancy tax fund is about 8,600 in the negative last year, and this year it's 101,119 in the positive. And the multi-use complex, the last one, which is 68,527 in the negative last year, and in 2021 it's 69,574 in the negative also. That includes your transfers.
Revenue over expenses.
Are there any questions on the financials?
That's how these are.
Council, y'all have any questions on the
No,
financials?
this is last year.
Ms. Bowen?
I had a, oh, you went.
No, not, I'm good.
Mr. Burke?
No.
Mr.
No,
Molina?
I'm fine. Thank you, Roland.
I just had a question in regards to,
Comparing.
very seldom do we see where the police department or fire department are either on budget, let alone well under budget. I applaud the department for doing that, but I'm wondering what actually played into that. I mean, as a success, or is it because we're short-staffed, or what is it? I mean, that's a I mean, it doesn't seem like a significant amount, but if you look at historically, that is a significant amount. I mean, it's a great thing. I'm just wondering, is there something there?
Well, one of the things overall is we are getting more fully staffed, which has a lot to do with overtime. and curbing that overtime. And I know the police department was working hard on curbing the overtime. And so, and fire too, they both were in. And when you have enough staff, yeah, it's gonna make a big difference. So that's
what
one
I-
of the big things that affects that.
That's what I wanted to hear. I mean, we knew it was a staffing issue and not that we're understaffed, that we're increasing staff. So it's good to have that overtime reduced. So thank you for that.
That was, what were you saying, Patrick, this
Patrick?
first year that,
we've been fully staffed.
Point of order, the mayor has to recognize the speaker that isn't at the dais.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, I like the conversational tone and everything, but the mayor's the mayor, she's gotta recognize the speaker, please.
Yeah, but he's right there.
so yeah.
Oh, we already, thank you, Patrick.
Thank you for correcting us, John.
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to ask you, on our general fund, I see, yes, we have revenues over expenditures, but when we look at our transfers, we're showing 995 without the transfers. Do you know, is that the intra-fund transfers? And I know we're on budget and transferring that, but what's causing that 995?
Yes, that's the interfund transfers.
Those are the interfund transfers from utility billing and so forth, correct?
There's utilities,
For
there's solid
administration.
waste.
For administration and
for
stuff like
the
that.
administration.
But
I mean, I couldn't.
But
I
we're
couldn't-
showing a 995.
We've never been
I
close to being
wanted-
budgeted.
I wanted to, if you can answer that, just to let me know,
As far as what
like, we're showing a positive 147, 166.
Mhm.
But when we go look at revenues without transfers, we're showing 995,000, the negative, so.
right. Yeah, so that does include your transfers to solid waste well, we have an interfund transfer coming in from solid waste, utilities, and airport and golf course.
That's not accounted on yet, or?
Yes, that's
in
it.
here.
That is accounted
Okay.
for.
So, and then you said we still have our sales tax?
Yes,
that we're-
that is lacking 2
that-
months.
Okay, 2 months?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Now, we do have our interfund transfers that go out as well to the airport to cover theirs and the golf course to cover that one.
Yeah.
And then we have the auditorium too, that go
Okay.
out, from the general fund that go out.
Sure.
We do have some that come in.
I'm just trying to.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Okay.
So we have some that come in and then some that goes out.
And then I know our solid waste and our utility fund has always been the healthiest fund. And I do see that it's a negative right now. Is there something that we had to pay or?
There have been some pretty big expenses in the solid waste before we purchased the new trucks. We had rentals. And then we had well, for solid waste, though, that's the main one. We had some rentals.
We have some leases on trucks right now. Is it rentals?
We bought some new ones. We were renting at
Oh,
one
okay,
time, and then
okay.
we had some
And
big
this was the
repairs on the
purchase, okay.
compactors
Okay.
that totaled like over 100,000. So there's a few different things, I guess, that
That's
attributed to it.
impacting it,
Mhm.
to show it the negative.
Yes, but
Okay.
it did have an impact.
Okay. Está bien. Council, do y'all have any other questions or discussion? No?
We're good.
Thank you.
Okay. So,
Thank you, Rolando.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're all right, man.
Sorry I had to stay so late.
and let me see, sorry. Putting this. Okay. Sorry, y'all, I took it out.
No, no problem.
I
Okay.
do too, because it's the other way.
Yes. Okay. And this one's just a presentation to us, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So then we'll move on to agenda item number 23. Delivery of updated grant report.
And
It's in the binders.
It's in the binder. We just give that to you every meeting to show what grants are there and what are outstanding, so it's
Okay.
just included. Usually don't go over it in the, Barbara usually doesn't present that. That's just an attachment.
For
you.
information.
Just for us to look over and see where we're at with our grants. Okay.
No, it's, they take them out to look.
Y'all have any questions or anything?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am, thank you.
Okay. Drum roll, please. Okay, agenda item number 24. Adjourn and/or consider and act upon adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, we have first and second, motion carries. Meeting adjourned and at 9:04 PM.
Thank you.